Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Donor-Centric Approach. This podcast is brought to you by MRP Donor Development, where we keep our donors at the center of everything we do, and by our friends and sponsors at Stellar Web Systems, the nonprofit tech solution. As always, I am your host, Orlando Barros, and today's episode is all about messaging. And I'm not talking about the big branding kind of messaging. What I'm talking about is the everyday communication that happens in your emails, in your events, social posts, donor calls, and even conversations with your staff and with your board. So if you have ever wondered, what exactly should I say to donors? Or how do I talk about our mission in a way that actually creates a clear connection to what we do? If that's been you, this is the episode that you have been waiting for. What we're going to be doing today is that I'm going to walk you through a simple framework that we use with our clients to help them clarify and strengthen their messaging. The best part about this is that this framework is without jargon. It doesn't include any of the fluff that you see out there, but most importantly, is not a one-size-fits-all template. Because you can edit it, you can change it according to your own mission and according to what you are doing each and every day. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start by talking about why messaging matters more than you think. And I know that this is a constant theme that we bring back up, but to sort of make it a better connection for you, let's start by discussing what happens when your message is not clear. When you're not able to create clarity in your messaging, your donors are going to hesitate and not be as proactive in their giving to you. When your message isn't clear, board members and your staff cannot explain the mission, cannot explain what your organization does to others because they kind of don't know. When you're not clear in your messaging, your emails don't get opened. And if they do, you're not going to get a response. But worst of all, when your messaging isn't clear, your fundraising and development efforts feel like you're always pushing a boulder uphill, like you're always fighting against the tide. In contrast, when your message is clear, literally everything gets easier. What happens is that you are able to connect faster with your donors. You're able to earn their trust super quick, and that of your staff and that of your board members. But most importantly, when your message is clear, you're able to move your people, your donors, your prospects into action a lot more naturally. Again, clarity creates unity. So when there's clarity in what you do, and also in the way that you communicate that to others, there's unity throughout the entire spectrum. From you, your staff, and your board members, all the way to your donors and your prospects and everything in between. So what is that framework then that we have used with clients to really allow them to be clear in how they communicate the mission to others? We call this framework problem, vision, invitation. The great thing about this framework is that is applicable to everything that you do. This is going to work whether you're writing an appeal, whether you're sending out a mass email, whether you're prepping for a one-on-one donor meeting, or you're training new staff, or you're welcoming new board members. That's the greatness of the simplicity of this framework. Again, simple doesn't quite mean easy. In this case, simple means clear. And here's how this framework breaks down. First things first, problem. What is the real need that your organization exists to solve? When you're tackling this question, the best thing you could do is to make your answer specific, tangible, and real. Be genuine about what it is that you do, because people are going to notice that. People smell fluff and fake pretty easily, right? So avoid the fluff, avoid the jargon that comes with whatever industry that you're in, and instead root your mission in the human experience. I'll give you an example of something with one of the clients that we actually work with. Too many college students today are drifting away from their faith, and no one is reaching them on campus with the hope of the gospel. That's it. Super simple, right? It's specific, it's tangible, and it's real. People can see it. People can see how real this is because it's actually happened. They can probably connect to it by thinking, my kids or my grandchildren, this is happening to them. State the need, state that problem in a specific, tangible, and real way. Then you go into the vision, right? Problem, then vision. What's the future you are building through your organization? And why does it matter now? This is the place where you can actually cast that hope. The hope of an actual solution to the problem you just stated. This is your chance to show your donors, to show your prospect, to show your staff and your board members what's possible with their help. Particularly to a donor, this is where you show them what's possible with their financial support. And here's an example that we've used with an actual client. Here's how we state the vision. We are equipping Catholic campus ministers across the country to create community and spaces of belonging, discipleship, and sacramental life for students who are hungry for more, who desire more in a relationship with Christ. When you are actually telling them the way that you're meeting the problem head on, again, in a specific way that's addressing the problem you just stated, people can make a connection a lot quicker. People actually think, or your prospects and your donors are actually going to think, these guys know what they're doing. That clarity is going to create unity of mind between your mission and their values, and allow for that seed to be planted and to grow and to bear fruit, in this case, in more financial support. But to do that, then you go into the invitation, right? Problem, vision, now invitation. How can that donor, how can that prospect help you make it happen? When you make your invitation, in a sense, when you're making that ask, make it clear, make it compelling, and make it proportionate to the problem and the vision. But most importantly, proportionate to what that person can do or is able to do. Here's a good example of that, again, that we've used with one of our clients. A monthly gift of $100 helps train and support a new campus minister for an entire semester. Will you partner with us to make this happen? Will you prayerfully consider joining us at that level? And then you let them think about it. Then you let them discern. Don't say anything. Don't interrupt their train of thought. They've been listening to you the entire time. And now they see what you're here to solve. They see how you're able to meet that problem and solve it head on. And now it's their turn to go, okay, how can I join in your efforts? If you're able to make it that clear, if you're able to make it that compelling, the chances that someone's going to say yes to that invitation are that much higher. Problem, vision, invitation. It is literally that simple. So how do you take that today and use that framework in your real life work? Here's some example of things that you can do today. If you have an appeal letter coming up, I want to encourage you to use it in your next appeal letter. If you're approaching the July 1st deadline or the June 30th deadline of the end of your fiscal year, use it in a donor email, that donor that you're reaching out to that you haven't been able to connect in a while, and just make an ask of maybe of your lapsed donors, right? You could use it when someone says, or the next time someone asks, hey, tell me what your mission, what your nonprofit does. If you have an upcoming board meeting, or you have a new board member joining your board, use it then when you're talking with them so that everyone shares that same message, so that everyone is united in the same approach. If you're training new volunteers or new staff members, let them know the framework, how they can use it, how you use it, how they can bring people so that you can use it live on them. And again, so that everyone is clear under the same umbrella. The best part about how simple this framework is that it works in all circumstances. Maybe you're leading a church-based ministry where you have a food pantry at your local church. Or maybe this is a statewide nonprofit and you're working all over the state. Maybe this is a national movement. The framework is going to work regardless of the size of your organization. Why? Because it helps you focus on what actually matters. One person at a time that you're telling your story to, that you're telling the mission of what you do to. It shows the donor's role in solving the meaningful problem that you exist to solve. That's why it works. Again, simple doesn't mean easy. Simple actually means clear. Now, as you are trying to implement this for you and your organization, I also want to show you some of the common messaging mistakes that we make so that you can avoid making the same mistakes. Try to avoid giving too much detail to your donors and not enough clarity. Give them enough that is going to create questions on their end, but don't give them too much that you're going to overwhelm them. Too much detail never helps. Also, avoid starting with, we were founded in 19 something or 2000 something, or we started because da 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 da. This is not going to sound that nice to say, but who cares? No one actually cares when it is that you started. People don't want to necessarily hear about you. They want to hear about what problem you're solving. They want to hear what you're doing about the issues in the world today. And worst of all, avoid making your donor, your prospect, guess how they can help. When you get to the invitation part, make it clear, give them an amount. If possible, give them different levels in which they can see themselves joining. If the worst that you can do is let them guess on their own how they can help you. Because if they don't have that clarity of what you're inviting them to, they're not going to join you. Or they're going to join your team at a much, much lower level. Again, it's all about making your message as clear as possible for you, your staff, your board members, but most especially your donors. So to do all of this and to get you started, let's talk about 3 action steps that you can implement right now, right after you listen to this episode, and you can start doing it this very week. First things first, take a look at one of your recent emails or your last appeal based on this new framework, this new approach. Problem, vision, invitation. Does your email, does your appeal clearly name the problem in a simple and concise way? Why it is that you exist? Does it cast that vision forth, letting the reader know or your donors know exactly what you're doing to solve that problem, to meet that need? And most importantly, did your last email, your last appeal, your last donor communication include a clear and strong invitation? Did you include an actual amount in your ask? Even if it was a mass appeal, it is always helpful when you actually can position your donor and give them a starting point and then go from there. Once you've audited one of your recent emails or appeals, then write out the way that you would do it next time. Write out your 3-part message that you're going to implement going forward. 1 sentence for your problem, 1 sentence for your vision, and 1 sentence for your invitation. You can build out from there. By the way, this is the very basic way in which we help clients build their case for support. The exact same way. Problem, vision, invitation. Because this framework works. And once you have written it all out, you now have in front of you your 3-part message in this framework. I want to encourage you to actually practice it, saying it out loud. Why? Because the more comfortable you are with when you do it in front of your donors, the easier it's going to come out and the clearer it's going to be. If you find yourself stumbling in your presentation or over explaining what you do, then go back to the drawing board. And maybe that sentence or two is too long or you're giving too much. Revise it. The goal in actually practicing this is that it comes out of you so naturally, almost like second nature, and not rehearsed at all. You want that donor to see you as genuine as possible. That you want them to feel like this is what you do every day, because it is what you do every day. So you want that to come across clearly. Here's a bonus part. If you feel like you've got this down, train someone else to say it. Whether it's someone who works with you, one of your board members, a major donor who has some connections, who has said to you before, let me know when you want me to introduce you to people in my network. Train them to say it the way that you would. They can use their own words, their own style, but give them this little framework that's simple and clear that you know is going to work. Because at the end of the day, the more people who are able to carry your message, the farther your message and your mission is going to spread. Does that make sense? Again, clear messaging is not simply just about what you say. The goal of being clear in your messaging is about helping others repeat it, helping others actually believe in it, but most importantly, helping others, especially your donors, respond to it by actually financially supporting you. That's the end goal. That's what we're here for. So that we can raise more funds and develop relationships and even deeper and more meaningful gifts. So again, this week, I want to encourage you to take a step toward more clarity. If you feel like there's something that's overwhelming you in your mission, is because it's not clear to you just yet, right? So go ahead and take a step toward more clarity, refine your message, and use this very framework. And just see what happens when your donors start to truly see themselves in the story that you're telling, because it is so clear to them. I hope that was helpful. And if you have felt inspired, if you have felt that this episode has resonated with you, I want to humbly ask you and encourage you to just share with your team or share with other people in the nonprofit and ministry world who are doing similar work and help them clear more clarity for themselves. If possible, please subscribe to this podcast, leave a review, because it is going to help so many other people find this little show, and it also is going to help them in the long run. Now, if this has really resonated with you and you really believe that the next step will be to get help in crafting your core message or even training your team to carry it with confidence, I would be honored and humbled to work with you. Simply reach out. Go to our website, mrpdonordev.com. That is mrpdonordev.com. Our Calendly link is there. You can see my availability and you click for your next complimentary meeting. I'm also going to include that link under the show notes here, which would be the best way to contact us. And I'd love to just get the chance to just sit with you and find out about the great work that you are doing today. As always, I am incredibly grateful for all of you for tuning in and always listening to this show. See you next time on the Donor-Centric Approach. And remember to keep your donors at the center of everything that you do, and you will see results. You're the best. God bless, and take care.